Okie dokie, where are we at? That's always the question, isn't it? Well, we got the last shot done, which was, I probably should pull this up, but which was, I believe, Akari's line. And so I'm pulling up Blender so that we can look at the video edit. And then we got to look at the next shot going. My scripting materials kind of run out of gas pretty soon. So I'm going to have to revisit the scripting process. But basically, we got this shot of Zen. He was doing this, and then she made her comment. He had his reaction, and now she's impugning him because I was almost kidnapped because you couldn't resist. Okay, so what happens next is as she rants, Zen slowly begins to remove his outer robe as he keeps one eye firmly on Ninja 1. So now the question does become, are we going to restage this scene or not? So let's go into OpenTunes and let's go way back to, I believe it's called the battle back half. And where the heck is the battle back half? I think this is actually it. Yes. Okay. And let's go kind of back in time here and look at what we had before we started. Kind of basically looking at really looking at Blender and Krita as alternatives ways to get this job done, right? So go forward quite a ways, people. Okay, we're getting close. So we're not quite there. So that looks like that one shot that I had to repurpose in Krita. Okay. So now, her comments in the earlier version of the script, we're going to leave this out because we've sort of, first of all, the animation wasn't that great, and number two, the capitalizing on her having her dress, falling off, we've kind of beat that joke to death. So at this point, this is really where we're at. So the problem with this shot, with just using it in OpenTunes, is that his wardrobe is wrong. So that might not be a problem. I think maybe we could do this with OpenTunes, at least this next shot. But we need to compare. Yeah, I mean, his wardrobe, it's basically changed mostly from the waist down. So I think we could probably get away with this, but we're definitely going to have to change the lower part of his garment. So let's set a start marker there and see. Well, I guess I have to ask, hey Val, can you look at this? We probably should slow this down to like probably about 8 frames a second. But the shot is, I mean, that's the shot. He's handing her his outer garment. So the question really is, are you okay with the way that was animated? Or did you want it to, is that not quite hitting the mark?
It's not quite hitting the mark.
And so you want him to more deliberately pull off the robe and hand it to her, that sort of a thing? Is that?
He's not handing it to her.
Oh! Okay, so this said as she rants, he begins to slowly remove his outer robe as he keeps one eye firmly on Ninja 1. But the next thing that happens is that he actually puts it on her. Okay, so that's a major change. Right. Okay, so what that means is probably from this point on, I'm going to go ahead and stick in a memo here because I think we're good from here. So it's going to actually be a couple shots downstream here that we're going to be able to return to OpenTunes and carry forward, I think. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Actually, probably not. Because again, this wardrobe's all wrong. I mean, I like the way it was animated, but once I get up to this point right here, hey, Akari, you okay? What's going on? Um, Everything that's happened to date has been finalized at that point. So, what does that mean? Well, it means we need to go into Krita, and so you want him to take off the robe, so he's naked from the waist up, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and then, but you want him to take it and put it around her.
Yep.
That's important.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
He's not a cocky guy focused on fighting.
Right on.
He's focused on her.
Right. Okay. So let's just do it this way. The shot that we ended on was 134. So I'm just going to jump into Krita like right away, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete the layer that is brought in when you open a new project. And the reason I'm doing that is because the basic layer has a white background, and we never want a white background. We always want a transparent background because we're going to have to put a background behind it. So therefore, I'm going to now save this animate Krita as, what was it? I get moving and blabbing, and so this is 134, so we'll call this 0135, right? There it is. Okay, so I think the framing, or the staging, I guess we'd say, was pretty good. So that means that Ninja 1 is going to be right here in the foreground, like so. So let's just keep it simple with boxes, basically. Little shoulder indicator there. And this guy has that ponytail thing. So all we're trying to do at this point is essentially a pencil test situation. Alright, so now I'm going to, let's see if I can, yeah, I want to toggle between these two. So this, actually, let's just do it this way. Let's just go Control Print Screen and Control V. Alright, and that allows us to bring in the old shot, and I would have to say that we need to make this more transparent so that I can get a better bead on the staging. But actually, I mean, I guess, I mean, rule of thirds, right? Let's make him a little bigger, but that's probably about it. Okay, and so then the way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna hit the S key. Now, Crit had to think about that a little bit, but what I'm gonna do is just grab this. Okay, and then I'm going to hit the selection, and what I'm going to do is invert it so that I can then just hit Control X and get rid of everything that isn't germane to the shot. So I got rid of all the extemporaneous material. Ninja 1 probably doesn't look too bad. I'm thinking the best way to, if I want to repurpose some of this content, what I probably should do is, let's get rid of that. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be kind of a bit of a pain to do it this way. So, but we'll do it anyway, just mainly so that we can get the edges that are closest to our characters, have those be reasonably clean, and then we'll just hand erase the rest. So, I think Zen looks pretty good from this angle, but again, we're going to have to redo his clothing from the waist down. So that's probably good enough. So let's take this and go B, make it big, hit the E key so we're erasing. And why does it appear to not be erasing? Okay, that's kind of strange. Why is nothing erasing? So let's save our work, and we'll try two things. First of all, we'll reopen it. This doesn't normally have to be done in Krita. But actually, what's strange, grab my brush, and actually nothing seems to work with the brush. Wonder why. What am I missing here? I come back here, go back out of eraser mode. Hello? And we're having the same issue. It says layer is invisible. Oh, I see. Okay. Ah! Selection. There was still a little piece selected. My bad. I figured, you know, like I said, Krita's normally pretty... sorry, I meant to go Control-Shift-A. Just to be careful here, let's select all, and then hit Control-Shift-A. So now nothing's selected. So what should happen now? Ah, there we go. Now we're in business. Thank you. So again, that was my fault. I'm not gonna complain about Krita at this point. Krita did what Krita was supposed to do. I'm the one who messed that one up. Okay. Now, it's not like this. It's not like our ninja's pose is like definitively amazing here or anything, but it's not bad. So let's just go ahead and run with it. Okay. So we'll go in and fix that up a bit. Like so. Probably a little shadow under the arm. And maybe a little bit of a tighter outline on this guy. Boom, boom. So, you know, that'll work. So let's hit the eraser. And just go in here. And we'll just kill this layer for the moment. Until I've gotten everything out of this other layer that I want to use. And then what I'll probably do, in fact I know what I'm going to do, is just duplicate the layer, and then we'll cut the ninja out of one of them, and we'll cut the others out of the other one. That way we separate these guys back out into two separate layers. And I can see that pretty obviously a little bit of touch up on the ink here would be probably well advised. I'm going to actually go to my pencil, so I've got a little bit of a softer kind of look going on here. And again, as I've said in recent videos, this is kind of why I'm liking Krita, is it's so quick and easy to just tweak things and whip them into shape and repurpose material from earlier shots as well. It's quite nice. Alright, so let's go to N key. Okay, so yeah, there is one problem here with this guy, which is I need to take this, sample that, hit the F key, and wow, that worked surprisingly well. Okay, and brush. Okay, so I would also say maybe, let's erase a little bit there, and maybe even a little bit here. And I think maybe just a slightly darker version of this would probably be good. So I want to stretch that out a little bit. And let's zoom in. This brush has a tighter, is that the right word? The pencil has a certain amount of opacity, or transparency, I guess I should say, so that if you want to really know that you're going to completely erase, you want to use the other brush. I guess. Sorry folks, I sneezed. It is somewhat of the spring allergy season, I must say. What just happened there? Let's sample that. Don't know why we have this little hiccup here, but again, pretty easy to fix. Again, we should use that brush because it gives us much better control over our lines. So it's a bummer to have to take material that was done in OpenTunes and bring it into Krita, but then again, who cares? You know, whatever works, man. I don't care. I just want to be able to move forward and Create my cartoon. All right, so there's that. Save it. Save early, save often. Okay, so um, so Akari's pose is not horrible. Let's go ahead and actually let's do this. Let's add a new layer, and what we'll do is we're going to fill it with red. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that when I turn the, well, there you go. Now you know why I did it. Pretty obvious. So back to the B key, back to the eraser. Oops. And that way I can clean this up effectively. Now, at this point, this would be the point where someone could argue, geez, Dave, wouldn't it maybe be faster to just redraw the thing? And arguably, yes. Arguably, yes. But I did like the pose. I did like what I did, so I don't want to have to redo it if I don't absolutely have to. So, let's just rock and roll and do what we do, man. Let's just do what we do and like it. So I'm going to get this pretty close, like so. And then I'm going to switch to the pencil. But again, I need to hit E for eraser. Actually, no. Let's use this one. But let's keep the brush small. And just, like I said, suffer the indignity of having to repaint some stuff. It's what you do. It's just what you do. Am I right? Am I right? It's just what you do. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. By gum and by golly. Okay. Got that. That. So what I really should do is, instead of doing all this fine erasing with the smaller brush, what I probably should do is just get the edges like so, and then make my brush bigger so I can just zip that baby out of there. Chop it out, man. Chop it out. Okay, so obviously we have a problem here, but that's going to be easily remedied. Okay. Oh wait, I forgot about the top part here. Yikes. Well, this is where my XP Pen Digital Artist 15.6 is really sweet, because it would be hard using a traditional Wacom tablet, which is what I use on my laptop. It would be tough to do this really detailed erasing. Boom, baby. I have no smoothing on this brush, by the way, right now. At least I don't think so. Nope, no smoothing. I've been finding the more I do, the more sure-handed I get, the less I bother with smoothing. Smoothing seems to be, it's like it's cool, but it maybe introduces as many slowdowns as speed ups, and so you sort of find yourself saying to yourself, geez, just learn to draw. Just draw it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is switch to the pencil and probably a bit of a charcoal color. N key, not bad. We're getting there. We're getting there, aren't we? So yeah, if you'd asked me 2 months ago, do you think you're going to both be doing a lot of this in Krita and enjoying doing it in Krita? the answer would have been emphatically no way. But I think at the time I was a little more enamored of things like the plastic tool and more of a rigging based approach. And what you find, at least for an anime, is, it's most of it's just plain old frame by frame animation, and you don't really gain anything by having a ton of rigging options. My suspicion is that it will come along in Krita, where we'll have the ability to maybe... The two things that are glaringly absent would be keyframe animation, where I move something from here to there and Krita figures out how to do the in-betweens. That would be nice, but if I really need that, I can always just jump back to OpenToons. Obviously, I could be redoing this shot in OpenToons right now. There's no reason I couldn't. But the reason I'm not is mainly because, like I said, I've been having fun, which I think is quite important. You need to be able to enjoy your work. I've been having fun working in Krita. I just have. So, I'm embracing the horror, people. I'm embracing the horror. In fact, I'm even going to make it better now. I'm going to take this brush. I'm just going to go, oop, oop. I'm going to put some shadow action in there, baby. All right. Almost done. Almost done. Let's go to our eraser. This is a really useful brush. You notice in my brushes, I've only got 3 brushes. Well, 4. One's the airbrush. 99.9% of everything I do, I can do with these brushes. Now, the exception would be background painting, where you need more of like an oil paint, color mixing sort of brush capability. But it's certainly here in Krita when you need it. I mean, it's got a heck of a bunch of brush engines. Okay, so now I'm going to go with a little lighter color. Oops, that's too light. And give him just a little more of a controlled shade. Okay, save our work. Now, the problem is this. This is a major problem. So let's do this. Let's figure out, let's just grab this color. And I think the way I'm going to do this actually is I'm going to do it the way I would do a lot of painting. If I was doing like a portrait or something, what I would often do is block the thing out. Just block out the shape like this with a lot of straight lines. Just a real bold, in other words, you're looking to see if it's going to work in silhouette is what you're really doing here. And say, hey, that looks good in silhouette. Okay. So that was quick and easy. So now what we're going to do is we'll just go back and work into it with our charcoal outline pencil. Like so. See? Easy. Easy peasy. A little too much there. A little too much. That's what erasers are for. And okay. So I guess we should give him a little bit of a... Actually, I'm going to rethink that. A little bit of a groin action, but how do you do that tastefully? Okay, let me go back now, just to make sure I'm not being stupid here. We're going to have to go way back, actually, because this stuff's all close-ups. Right there. Actually, there we go. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, now I see how badly botched this actually is. But no big deal. No big deal, man. I'm just going to go like this and do the same thing I did before. I forgot he didn't have the burgundy belt anymore. So, see how easy it is to tweak my work here. So we'll just get it blocked in, and then we'll go back and touch it up. Okay, so what do we got? Okay, I see. So this actually does come across like this, and that's, in silhouette, that's essentially what we have. Oh, Kyle's here. I'm YouTubing right now. Well, I'm not live streaming. I'm actually just recording a video. Knocking out a scene. In Krita. Doing my thing. Alright, so we need to have a little bit of this kind of action going on. This sort of belt-ish activity. And then let's go ahead and give it a little bit of shadow action. Yeah, I guess it really doesn't have like a buckle thing so much as just a little bit of a shadow area there. Okay, back to a charcoal, and now let's tighten this up. And let's zoom out and see if it's looking okay. It is. What about his sandals? Okay, got it. Got boom, 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 boom. That's all there is to it. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Kyle's chilling out. He's looking to... How'd your rehearsal go, man? Good. So did ours. Although the first time through the background vocals were on the rough side, but after that it tightened right up. The what? Cool. Alright, so now we're going to add some shadowing using the classic methodology. And now we'll just ease it in like so. Oops, that's too much. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is hit Control E and just flatten this so that I can actually tighten this up a little bit, because you got a little bit too much color variation there. I would say slight erasure there. Boom. Back to charcoal. And feels pretty good. So now the question becomes, this is actually going to be the challenging part. How do we how does Zen do what he's about to do? And I guess I don't need this layer either. I can just go ahead and save my work. Because what he's got to do is he's got to pull off his outer robe and put it on her. So, okay. So let's dupe our layer and let's split them off first thing. Let's just get rid of this guy. Alright, and here what we'll do is we'll go select, invert, and then just hit Control X. Okay, it looks like nothing changed, but actually something kind of major changed. So this is going to be Zen Akari. Did I get that right? Dyslexia sometimes causes me to reverse things. And that's Ninja 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's make sure we've got animation data here. So I'm just going to hit Control Insert on both of these layers. That one didn't take. Sometimes Krita does that. Control Insert. Hello. It's like you have to click right on the timeline for the keyframe to take. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can do a sort of a liquefy job on Mr. Ninja Guy to cause him to stand up just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rotator. That didn't work. So just hit escape. Let's not reverse it. I have no idea if this will work. I'm just figured I'd give it a crack. Okay, that didn't work either. I'll try one more time, and otherwise we'll just go to a standard liquefy. Yeah, actually, let's go ahead and keep that, and then, hello? Okay. So then let's go to standard liquefy. Bam! And what I basically wanted, I probably should just draw this. I don't even know why I'm using the liquefy tool for this, but it's really having to think about it. So yeah, that looks stupid. Well, but having said that, what I really need to do is fix this. This is actually the problem. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward one more frame. I'm going to hit Control Insert, so we're making a duplicate. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the part of Mr. Ninja Guy that I want to have standing up and just do that. Alright, so then what I'll do is select this. Okay. And I'm basically doing it this way to preserve his basic positioning. So accept that. Control Shift A, so nothing's selected, and now it's just a patch job. Again, one could argue that this is sort of the unnecessarily clunky way to do it, but that's okay. Just gonna go like that. Hit the eraser, trim that off. Right? So we're just trying to move quick and block this stuff in. Like so. And then we'll go back and, whoops, fix it up with shadows and whatnot. Okay, this part really, I'm thinking this should be coming down further. Like so. And then of course we'll put his ponytail over top of it. And we'll be good to go. Alright, I think here this should probably come up a little higher now. Like so. And let's just see. Yeah, that's not too bad. I just wanted to have Mr. Ninja Guy standing up. That's basically all I was after there. So, alright, and then here, same thing. Let's go ahead and put a little shadow there. Let's cover that shadow with the right color, I think. Okay. Oops. Alright, and here we gotta have that on top. I can see a little hiccup here. Erase that. Erase that. Okay, now final touch up. Need our charcoal pencil. Let's start here. Okay, so we're going to want to color that in a bit. Okay, almost done. I can live with that. I think this is slightly off. Yeah, right there should be just a little lighter. Let's grab that color. Boom. Okay, so that takes care of Ninja 1. I don't know when in the shot I'm going to have him stand up like that. Ooh, I think I got something in my eye. Alright, so now we'll just clean this up a bit. My phone is like exploding right now. My guess is that there's some group mail or group text going on with my brothers and sisters. That's usually, when my phone blows up, that's usually what's going on. Nope. Okay, let's grab this brush. Zap that out. And, oops. Clean that up a bit. And save early, save often. Now, what are we going to do with these guys? Well, I think I should rotoscope it. Well, we've been going for a half hour here. What I would have to do is I'll just show how I would do this. I would stand back here, drape like a towel over myself, and then just pull it off and hand it over, and then use that as the basis for the animation. That probably would be well advised, just because that's a tricky move. That's not a simple thing to animate. And so we'll try it the other way first, and if this doesn't go super well, then what I'll do is I'll have to stop this video in order to go ahead and capture that rotoscope. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and make this lighter, and then this is probably the most instructive thing in this video. Okay, so being cognizant of the centers, like when I draw these bones, I'm not concerning myself with the outside extents of it. I'm really concerning myself with where the bones are. So then you have to make note of these extents so you don't inadvertently draw the limbs, really out of shape, because it's kind of easy to do actually. But what I'm going to do is block in the mechanics. So I'm going to put the square here for his belt. We need to mark this. Essentially nothing's going to change from here on down. I'll go ahead and trace it one time just so we've got it, but this really isn't necessary to have in there. Okay, so we got this. Now the question is, what's this animation going to look like? I'm going to hit Control Insert. So we've got, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go one frame at a time and start modifying it. Alright, so what would you do? You'd probably lift your arms up first of all. I'm going to actually bring this down quite a bit. Save early, save often, right? Okay, so next step would be something like that. Okay, I think I can live with that. Alright, so if we're going to do it that way, then let's go ahead and erase this. Doesn't have to be super tight, because it's just a pencil test to make sure we've got the motion feeling right. Okay, not bad. Okay, so yep, I'm gonna go forward one more. And oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to go Control Insert so it makes a copy. And I'm gonna do something I don't often do, which is turn on the onion skins. That way I can just I don't really want to switch brushes a lot, so let's do this. Let's just go like this. Delete that. Go like this, delete that. Okay. Okay, so for me, the salient question is, where are his hands? And I'm thinking his hands are about here. Okay, so if his hands were there, his shoulders are a fixed quantity. His shoulders aren't going to move too much. So what's really going on here is tracking the forearm is essentially what we're doing here. Okay. So I'm trying to keep this pretty much relegated to triangles. Okay, so now the next shot is going to be, man, should I go ahead and, I'm just going to hit insert. Since I'm using the onion skins, I'll just go ahead and retrace from here. I can retrace that much, no problem. Okay, so now what's going to happen is his hand's going to come up to here. And he's pulling the garment. Double check this. Yeah, and this hand would come out here. Again, pulling the garment out. So this pose here is of questionable value. It maybe is going to get deleted or replaced with something else, but let's just keep moving forward. Okay, so really what I'm interested in is this teardrop shape of his forearm. What is it doing? And I'm going to keep moving forward here so that I can move quickly. Because again, the important thing is, what are his hands doing? Because in other words, I know I can figure out where everything else goes. And what's going to make this animation work or not work is how his hands move. So therefore, let's get the hands right. All right? Because we know we can figure out where his elbows need to be and that sort of thing, right? Okay. So I'm going to do one more. And we're just using a square to represent. Okay. So that's not too shabby. Again, shoulders aren't going to change position, so probably something like that. Something like that. There is a bit of foreshortening here that we're trying to be cognizant of. So in other words, his bicep would be sort of coming at you like that. Okay. Okay, so now an interesting thing about this actually would be this. This part right here should probably, what we really want to do here is show this coming out. Okay. How would now this is kind of tough to figure out. Yeah, I mean this would come up like that outside the belt. Okay, right now it's still under the belt, obviously, so it's going to be sort of jerked loose here. And in his case, he does have full leggings, so it's not like he's exposing himself by pulling this out, right? So I'm thinking this is what would happen. We'd see the back of the garment here, and his bare shoulders here. So here we're going to see his glorious physicality. Are you and Matthew playing tonight? Okay, cool. Okay, so I think that would pop out of there. And so I'm doing yet another frame. Insert. And gonna hold this up. So I might be stretching the physics here. I don't know if this could actually happen the way he's doing it. But I think what you would have is you would have this, and then you would have this. Okay, so he pulls it out, and now he's bare-chested, Nice little six-pack going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my end frame to like 24. So it's got a little breathing room after the motion stops, but I'm also going to set my frame rate to, let's do like 8. All right, because I just want to review this in real time. And one thing that's kind of cool is I was going to say I think Krita keeps the onion skins going even while it animates and plays back, but I guess that's not true. Okay, so now let's jump this to 12. So that would be about right because we normally like to do things on 2s. And, again, it's an anime, so we can suspend a certain amount of disbelief in terms of whether the action is fully credible. This is, the bottom line probably is it looks good. It does look good. It feels about right. So we've got this garment thing that's behind him and in front of him. So what would happen, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump to here. I'm going to actually insert 2 frames. Okay, but here what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the hands back down like this. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing the hands back down is because then what would happen is now we've got this garment kind of laying here on the floor. Okay, which means we need a tween. I'm going to go like this. This is going to be a really fast motion. But what's going to happen here is he's whipping it around from behind to in front. And then he's going to go and very sweetly, yeah, see, that's the idea. And then he's going to go very sweetly give it to Akari. Now, I'm going to play this back because I suspect it's going to need another tween. So, as always, save early, save often. Why is the playback button not working? I don't know. Oh, I see. OpenTunes has a little bit of an issue with... okay, here's what's going on, just so you guys know. If you go in here and you change one of these things, like the end frame, or in my case what I did was I changed the frame rate, you can keep drawing in Krita, and this little box will maintain the focus. So that becomes problematic because then what happens is, you start drawing, and then you hit a key, and of course now it's not going to work. But what happens is you hit a key, and this little box will actually enter the key. And so now I've got a letter in the frame rate, which of course makes absolutely no sense at all. So that's just a common Krita thing. Doesn't come up very often, but okay, so let's just okay, so now if I was going to judge this from the standpoint of the interaction of Mr. Ninja compared to Mr. Zen, what I think I would be doing... Okay, yeah, so this shows you what I'm doing. Right now, I actually press the play button with my mouse. But now, every time I'm hitting the space bar, you see that? Look at that. See? It's still getting input. It's definitely just a weird Krita interface, buggy, weird thing. It is what it is. But anyway, so, and it's a little frustrating because I'm trying to get Krita to wake up to my space bar. Now it finally did. I guess what you have to do is after you hit once you start the animation going, you need to click here in the drawing workspace in order to get the focus right back where it needs to be. And then when you hit the space bar again, it'll go ahead and stop playing. So what I was getting at earlier is I'm thinking this action needs to be about here. So I'm going to push this forward, and as long as we're messing around with timing, let's go ahead and put that on 2s. Okay? So now this shot needs to be duplicated back here. Again, save early, save often. And now what you're going to see is they're kind of moving at the same time. And you know what? I think this is all I'm going to do with this shot. I think what I'll do is get this in place, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to another shot, and I guess I'll show it this way. And actually, by the way, there's another thing I want to tweak. This should be moved downstream from 9. Let's move it to like 20, because remember, Zen's going to be on 2s as well. Okay, so what that means is I'm hitting the Alt key, so this will ripple edit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put the timing more where it needs to be on 2s. And then I'll switch my project frame rate back to 24 frames, because right now it's playing back at 12. Okay, so in this window I'm hitting 24, enter, and then I'm coming over here and deliberately clicking so that Krita knows where to have its focus. Let's see if it worked, and it did. But I will tell you, if you look back here, you'll see the number is still highlighted. So it's definitely going to dance around with continuing with that buggy behavior. Now another thing we need to do is go ahead and extend the length of the animation. Let's go up to about, I don't know, 48, let's say. So he goes like that. Okay. So then what I wanted to show is that, I'll just show it here. We'll hide Ninja 1 at this moment, and I'm going to hit insert. So I think what's going to happen next is going to be, you're going to see a shot of Zen about like this, where he's keeping an eye on Mr. Ninja Guy while he takes the garment and puts it over Akari. Now, the way I drew it there is kind of not about right, because I really have to have it about like that so that we can get Akari in the shot. And so this is essentially what's going to happen. Her head is up too high, by the way. Oops. And I'm thinking for staging purposes. By the way, I've got the hotkeys in Krita set up so that they work the same way they do in OpenTunes. In OpenTunes, if you hit the S key, you can select an area. And if you hit the A key, you can, well, actually, in OpenTunes, the S key lets you select, and then you can go ahead and do what I've been doing in Krita. The A key is the animate tool. You know, I sort of, in Krita, those are separated into two functions. Selecting and transforming are two separate things. So I just mapped them to S and A, which works pretty well. Now, I will say this: if you're into Krita 4.2, there's a bit of a difference, and the difference comes from the fact that the selection tool, which would be this guy right, or I'm sorry, the free select, this, the outline selection tool, which I've mapped to the S key. The problem is that in Krita 4.2, the S key selection tool has other options. And so once something's selected, if you hit the A key, I don't even know what it does actually, but it's some sort of modifier on the outline selection tool. So you can't just go SA. So I'm going to have to do, in 4.2, I'll have to do a different key combination. In my last video, I think it was, I showed why I'm still using Krita 4.1.7 instead of 4.2. I like 4.2, but I definitely uncovered a couple bugs that are, one of them's kind of a deal breaker actually, which was this. I'll just demonstrate it here. I'll save my work and then show you this. In Krita 4.2, if you grab, and I can't tell you exactly when it happens, if it happens all the time. All I know is I bumped into it real hard. And what happened was I had a scene with a bunch of lip sync, and what I did was I grabbed a key and just moved it downstream like that. Well, in Krita 4.2, sometimes that works, but sometimes it does this. So you went to move a frame, and instead of moving one frame, it rippled all of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not good, because the timeline could, your timeline with your lip sync mouth shapes and stuff, it could be fairly long. In other words, the lip sync could run right off the page here. So that means it's conceivable that you could make a small adjustment to one key like this and not even realize that a bunch of keys downstream got moved. For me, that's a deal buster. You can't have that. You have to know that the keyframe editing behavior is going to behave predictably. So for me, that was like a little bit of a negative on Krita 4.2, unfortunately. So yeah, let me see if this actually times out right. He pulls it off, and then it's going to probably be a little later. Yeah, something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll stop it after. Yeah. So it wouldn't start with this pose. It would start with him. Let's insert a frame. And B key. So yeah, so here's Zen. So it would actually be something more like this. It would be something more like, here's his hands. He's got the garment in hand. So he's going to pick it up. Akari's here. So he's going to basically go like this, and obviously we need some tweens in there, but so this whole time he's glaring at Ninja 1. And frankly, one thing that might be worthwhile would be to take these. Let's just do this. As long as I'm fiddling with it, I might as well. Let's do it this way. Let's shrink this down a little bit and move these guys over. Okay, and I'm going to do this again. Same thing here. I need to select it. And A key. Move it over. Shrink it down a bit. Let me make sure I got it kind of sort of close to right. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. But my point was that for this shot, it might be good to have this in the foreground. So we've got like Ninja 1. Now when you cut and paste in Krita, I can go Control C, go to the next frame, and then paste him back in, but it's going to add another layer. Okay, and why did it not paste it in? It created the layer, but it didn't paste it in. That's weird. Has it got something to do with the selection? I don't know. I'm going to hit Control Shift A. I'm going to delete that layer. And now I'm going to hit Control V. And it still doesn't work. So there's another maybe buggy kind of thing going on. Fortunately, it's hardly a deal buster. If I was working smart, I would never have put this in a separate, or in the same layer anyway. The whole idea of having a static item in the animation, like this silhouette in the foreground, to have something like that and to like copy it into subsequent keyframes is basically stupid. You don't want to do that. That's bad behavior. What you want to do is add another layer, put your static image in there, and then now that it's going to appear over top of everything else that happens. But you probably knew that. So now, just for completeness in explanation, I'll just go like that. You can see that Mr. Ninja's still there. Okay, so okay, so now from a timing standpoint, I would assume there's probably going to be 2 tweens in there. So I'm going to jump forward 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. Not going to bother putting the tweens in, but that suggests that my animation should probably stop somewhere around frame 60 or something like that. So just so I can preview it intelligently, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Yeah, I mean, it actually would go quite longer, but of course this new shot needs to be in a completely separate Krita file and everything. So I just want to make sure it was going to work. And it is. I like it. So that's that. So with that, the ending frame should be probably going back to 42. So it stops before this new stuff. And I like it. Okay, cool. I'm going to stop there. That's an hour, and we'll go in and ink and paint it in the next video. So as I always say, there will be more later.